MAFS is celebrating this year the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. As Gandhiji believed in service for others, so does MAFS.
Thank you.
Metropolitan Asian Family Services is celebrating the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. As Gandhi believed in service to others, so does MAFS.
Was very keen to start this tribute for Mahatma Gandhiji and the MAFS's 27th Congressional Roundtable by saving human lives. And he wants to demonstrate to all the distinguished leaders here, on behalf of Ma Santosh Kumar Ji, the founder and executive director of Metropolitan Asian Family Services. Please give it up for her. We have a lot of distinguished invitees. When the Congressional Roundtable starts, we will have them, each of you will introduce yourself. But right now, I'll hand it over to Dr. Vemuri Murthy. Please give a big round of applause to Dr. Vemuri Murthy.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Prabhakar. I'm always humbled in all these kinds of introductions. Thank you all. You're all distinguished guests. You are all not only you came from Chicago, but from different parts of the country. And especially, my special recognition to all the distinguished honorees, as well as the guests that came from India all the way. If you can give me some time, I was given about half an hour for this particular program called the hands-only CPR or the Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation. I've been involved with the Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation nationally and internationally for almost like 33 years. I've worked with the American Heart Association in different capacities and also involved with a few organizations like the Chicago Medical Society, the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, and the Indian American Medical Association. And I really appreciate your coming here today. Today is a very special day for us. You know why? We are celebrating the 150th, the so-called Jayanti, or the birth anniversary of a great human being that has lived, walked, worked for the humanity, and that is no other than the legendary Mahatma Gandhi. So let us give a round of applause for his soul. The theme for today we selected is what is called the saving the human lives. Well, we are all human beings and we really need to care the human beings. What is the highest care that you can give to a fellow human being, and that is saving the life. So I'll be very brief for the next 5 to 7 minutes. This is very passionate, not only for me, for the millions of resuscitation volunteers belonging to different organizations like the American Heart Association, Red Cross, you just name it. As you know, if you look at the statistics, evidence-based statistics from the United States, 350,000 people in this country have sudden cardiac arrest. 350,000 every year sustain a sudden cardiac arrest. What is sudden cardiac arrest? Somebody collapses suddenly, doesn't breathe, doesn't move, doesn't talk. And if you look at the sad statistics of how many people get rescued or be alive after sustaining the dangerous sudden cardiac arrest is only about 10% without any intervention by a medical or a non-medical so-called bystander. That's where we all belong today for this session. If you look at the statistics from India, almost like we have with 1.36 or 37 million population, the 4,200 people out of every 1 lakh or 100,000 people, they sustain the cardiac arrest. And again, the people who die without any kind of immediate, urgent, appropriate intervention is almost like 90%. You name any country, I'm just quoting only 2 countries because we are here in the United States and also most of us are from India, the dignitaries here. So it is such a sad story. But there is always a hope. You know, science has given the greatest gift to humanity, that is the scientific phenomenon, which really is helpful in finding some solution. There is enough evidence to prove that if you use both of your hands only CPR, you know, you can save almost like 2 to 3 times of the people who would otherwise have died. What is the cause of sudden cardiac arrest? We all know that when somebody has a massive heart attack, if there is no immediate attention is given to them, they die. Unfortunately, you know, if you look at the literature, either from India, United States, or from any country, even a trivial cause that produces trauma to the chest, we call it as a commotion cordis. Like you have seen, those of you from India, and also from India, we used to play cricket. The cricket ball comes and hits the chest, and it stops the heart, and that is sudden cardiac arrest. And lo and behold, if there is nobody there to do the CPR, the person, whether he is a 10-year-old or 15-year-old, he will die. And that is the message that we really need to have to imbibe and act accordingly. And whatever I'm talking today is 100% evidence-based information. That means it has withstood the test of the laboratory as well as the practical translation type of thing that I'm talking about. There are 2 kinds of CPR, the cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Dr. Bill Foster. Please go to the Congressman, Dr. Bill Foster. Thanks for joining us, sir. So there are 2 kinds of CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. One is a full-fledged cardio, and also in people with a drug overdose, you really need to do the conventional CPR with 30 compressions and 2 breaths. But today we are talking about a thing, anybody who has the heart in the right place and who would like to help your neighbor after sustaining the cardiac arrest. You use only your both hands. In the United States, the time that elapses between, you call 911. Firstly, you have to call 911 when somebody collapses. And then, after that, you initiate the hands-on CPR with using both of your hands. And we are going to show you the video, and also we will help you how to do the cardiopulmonary resuscitation with the hands-on CPR. The majority of us, without any pre-existing lung or heart condition, we have enough oxygen for us to survive for about 5 to 6 minutes. There are always exceptions, like pre-existing health conditions, like pulmonary conditions and all. We are not talking about it. In majority of these cases, if you can do within the golden 4 to 5 minutes the hands-on CPR, the chances are that you will be saving 50 to 75% of the people who would otherwise have succumbed to this kind of a catastrophe. Having said that, the time frame that you really need to do is immediately within few seconds after you call 911 here, and in India it is 108, and I will also involved in some of the programs in India at the national level. So, and after that, when once you do the CPR, the time that the paramedics would come, especially in the United States, except in the very, very remote areas, is about 3 to 5 minutes. So within the 3 to 5 minutes, if you can do that, you can not only save this patient, but you can also save his brain. You know why? After 4 to 5 minutes of sudden cardiac arrest, the brain starts dying at the rate of 10% after every minute. So even if you do the CPR after 5 minutes of sustaining a cardiac arrest, the chances are after 5 minutes after 4 minutes, so after 10 minutes, the brain is gone. And here we are looking at the quality of the CPR, not only from the viewpoint of resuscitating the heart and increasing the survival of the patient, longevity of life, that is important, but more important is the quality of the life. You don't want to live and not be able to recognize the people. So, but again, my dear friends, today we are going to show that, and there is a phenomenal thing called the AED, Automated External Defibrillator. In majority of the cases, you really need to do the AED. So when I visit the countries, so recently I have been to Japan. So you take any country, the United States, we really need to have the public AEDs at every place. In India, every ambulance need to have the AED. Some of the AEDs, some of the ambulances with 108 system, they have got beautiful things going on with AEDs, but not all ambulances are provided. So we are also going to show the AEDs, and please make sure that you know how to do AED. And today's is not a course, but we will be just introducing to the concept of the AED, which I think will become a household item in this country 5 years from now, just like buying a microwave. So with that brief introduction, I really thank you all of you, and I'm going to show a brief video, and after that we've got 4 stalls here and 4 stations, and we've got the robust volunteers here who would want to wait to you. And again, whatever you do in any state in the United States, you have to follow the local Good Samaritan laws. You know how to do it by watching a video or something. You don't need to be certified. But if you know how to do that, then I think you are exempt from the civil liability. So please pitch in into this campaign, national, international campaign, and that's what the message of Mahatma Gandhi. You take care of your neighbor, the service to humanity, and that is the basis of kicking off today's celebration with saving lives. A great tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. So with that, I'm going to start the video. Ready? Thank you. A lot of experience, so we'll explain to you. And if you have any kind of physical limitation, like, I don't see anybody, but if there is any issue with any kind of arthritis or something, please refrain from doing any kind of CPR. And it is also important to watch the surroundings. When you go out to do, you have to protect yourself. If there is flooding or some kind of electrical disruption, you cannot do the CPR without protecting yourself. So with this, please, I invite all of you to come and join us. There may be a couple of minutes of waiting here, but please feel free to ask the questions, and we will be very happy to answer the questions. Thanks again. also we're going to do, for Honorable Congressman as well as Congressman, please.
So we're going to have a race?
Well, this is a competition. We're all,
No, go please inside.
thank you.
Let her go inside.
You can join us, please.
Sir, please inside.
Today we are giving a very brief demonstration of the life-saving hands-on CPR, which can save the lives of anybody by sustaining the cardiac arrest. The first 4 to 6 minutes are the golden minutes after sustaining the cardiac arrest for anybody, because during this period it is important to initiate what's called hands-on CPR by anybody, a non-physician or anybody who is a good Samaritan as well as a bystander. There is a lot of we have enough evidence-based scientific information that in most categories of patients, if you initiate the cardiopulmonary resuscitation with hands-only CPR without using the respirations, again, it's only the first 4 to 6 golden minutes, you will be able to save majority of these lives. There are exceptions for doing the hands-on CPR in infants and children, in drug overdose, and patients with pre-existing lung conditions. You really need to do the conventional CPR with 30 compressions and 2 breaths. However, in majority of the cases, until the ambulance system knocks your door, which is about 3 to 6 minutes in the Chicago area, you should be able to do the hands-on CPR. And it is very important to stick to certain basic quality CPR instructions. The CPR has to be done by any person who is physically capable of doing it and watch the surroundings and protecting himself first. The second thing is the CPR, the hands-on CPR should be done on preferably a hard surface. And the easy way to do it after you call the 911 in the United States is to have both the hands put in the center of the chest and compress to at least a depth of 2 inches, 100 to 100 compressions per minute. And this should be sustained until you get the ambulance people to come and help you. And again, there is a lot of information for us to prove that it is going to be valuable to save the life of any person. Now at this point, I'm going to just demonstrate, and our Congressman as well as our Council General will join us. You can give them a big round of applause. Thank you.
We'll keep up.
Very nice, Congressman. Good job.
Nice.
Awesome. Wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, one last thing. For picture purpose, put your hand over there. Picture purpose, please. Sir, beta, everybody, look at here. No. Close the gap.
Look at them.
Close the gap. Hello, everybody, look at here, beta. Just this is the picture purpose. Hello, madam. This is all picture purpose. Please. One more. And thank you.
Thank you. And last but not the least,
Let's go one more time. Picture purpose. Okay, picture purpose one more time. No. Can you do it over here? Hello. Okay, this is only picture purpose. Only picture. Mr. Foster, please, everybody, look at here. Kirti ji, please. Everybody. One more. Thank you.
thanks again. Before you leave, it's also equally important for you to know about the automated external defibrillator. And for that, there is a special course that I hope you will start with hands-on CPR and also know about the AED in the very near future and save somebody's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vemuri.
Now, hello, please stay here.
I'm very glad to be here, and this is for me a learning session.
And I will be the Pulmonary Director General of Police from India. And this is the first occasion. Of course, we do interact in our profession, right from child to very elderly people in in their lifestyle and many emergency cases the police have to deal with. And so this is the first time that I am here, and I'm finding that the MFF is doing outstanding work, and definitely when we go back to our country, we'll pick up the best and try to replicate in our country. Thank you.
Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, which represents about 100,000 physicians in the US. I'm proud and happy to say that 1 in 8 patients in America are seen by a physician of Indian origin. Wow. And they are doing a great job. And they are a big part of American healthcare system. I'm proud to be part of that. Also, I'm from Springfield, Illinois, the great town of Abraham Lincoln's hometown. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Right now that he's learning this weekend. I do want to reiterate what Diane was saying from Age Options about the census. You know, a lot of people work very hard and very diligently to make sure the immigration question was not on the census form. We cannot lose funding, so please spread the word to your relatives and your neighbors that there is no risk in filling it out correctly. It's so important that we don't lose funding and representation in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm echoing your concerns as well. My name is Marta Pereira. I work with CLEAS, Coalition of Limited English-Speaking Elderly. We speak all the languages imagined in the state of Illinois. Our dear friend and Santosh Kumar, and such an important member of CLEAS, does an amazing job on behalf of the South Asian community, which is, I believe, the second largest minority group in the state after Latinos. So we work very hard in order to secure funding, to make sure that providers can continue providing services, and our mission is focused on older adults, immigrant and refugees.
My name is Laura Elman. I'm a state senator representing District 21, which includes Naperville, Wheaton, Warrenville, and Carroll Stream. And as Senator Castro said, we support, funding for caregivers, but I also recognize that seniors have got a wide variety of needs. One thing is consumer protections for seniors, and for getting the care that they need, whether they want to stay in their homes or whether they want to live in some other kind of setting. And so I look forward to the discussion today, to hear your ideas and to help serve seniors better. Thank you.
I'm the current chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Chicago Medical Society and immediate past president of CMS. Chicago Medical Society is a mainstream organization. I think it is one of the largest county organizations in this country, representing about 17,000 physicians. I'm also the past president of the Indian American Medical Association and founder of the project by saving more Indian lives through education. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sudhakar Dalela. I'm the Consul General of India in Chicago. And I'll begin by congratulating Santoshji and the entire leadership, staff and volunteers of MAFS for the excellent work that they do. I meet a number of people from the community every day, and everybody speaks so proudly about the work that MAFS is doing in the greater Chicago area. So I salute your work. I salute the spirit of community service that you sort of bring to the table, and I am looking forward to the discussion this afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tiamo Romero, and I am the Deputy Chief of Staff for Congressman Danny Davis. I have known Congressman Davis for about 30 years. I know it doesn't look like it, but yeah, I've known him for about 30 years, and I know he's known most of you for about that long as well. And I am really honored to sit between Congressman Foster and the Consul General for India, Consulate of India. It puts a lot of pressure on me.
But you can handle it.
Thank you. You know, I was looking up something regarding Gandhi, and there was something that, a quote of his about living today as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever. And I believe that what we've done today, even with the medical demonstration today, emphasizes that. When I was a young girl growing up in Inglewood, there were 4 people that my grandmother would talk about. Of course, Dr. Martin Luther King, sometimes Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, and Gandhi. Those were the 4 people that I grew up trying to model my life after, all my life. And it is an honor to be here. We have in the 7th Congressional District a senior advisory committee, and we work on many issues impacting seniors' quality of life. I told my daughter that I was middle-aged, and she says, "Mom, how could you be middle-aged now?" She's 37, so. I says, well, the median age for an average African-American woman is about 80, and I'm over 40. So that means that I'm past middle age. But what I'm trying to get to is that sometimes we don't realize that there are so many seniors around us, and we're just heading in that direction. We'll all be seniors if we're not seniors tomorrow. So we need to take care of the people around us today. We have introduced legislation on kinship care in Washington, D.C. We've worked with Age Options as part of our advisory committee and many other organizations. Whenever anybody calls on us to talk about or to work on issues relating to seniors in the State House, a representative meeting here, or a Senate, or local government in Cook County, we're there to join them. It is my honor to introduce to you Lalita Kamaraman Kalam.
Just Lalita is enough.
Okay. Well, if I can't say that, let me tell you what a great person she is and how she's been a leader in the community for so many years. And of course, I want to acknowledge MAFS's Executive Director, Santosh Kumar, and the state senators and state reps that are here today. So, I am told on 2 sheets here that she's supposed to give the call to action.
Yes, that's
Yes.
for Lalita ji.
Yes.
But before Lalita ji speaks, we have another esteemed guest over here. I would like her to introduce herself.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Vemuri. I'm a primary care physician in Naperville and Waterford area. I've been in practice and in the primary care, and I am the grassroots primary care that you can get as it's been for more than 27 years. I practice in all the 3 major hospitals around here, which is Elmhurst, Advocate, and Amita, and we take care of the intensive care patients in the hospital, then follow up in the state. But once we're done, the most important work is done by the community services like MAFS, where we keep the patient at home rather than back in the hospital, which is what our goal, everybody's goal is. So I think the services that they provide is actually making the patient be independent, and our goal is to keep them the ADLs, independent of ADLs, and also which you guys do, and we have referred a lot of our patients to your services, and thank you for all the service you do. But healthcare, as you said, and also a lot of it, this is new, the 80 is your new 60, we are seeing 85, 88, 90-year-olds and more also coming into the office, which we have never used to see before. So we need to actually extend more services, and I think I actually address to all the congressmen and the senators who are here, please, goal is to funding more to keep these patients, and all of us, it's our future, to be at home and helping the services, I think. Thank you.
I'm president of National RP, and I'm very honored to be here with all the esteemed guests. And I'm a interventional neuroradiologist, and I recently moved to Chicago from Boston. I was on Harvard faculty for 15 years, and I'm at the Loyola and Heinz Medical Center. And I present the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. It's a Indian Doctors Association of almost 100,000 Indian doctors in the United States. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Niranjana Shah. I'm president of Indian American Medical Association this year, and I'm proud to represent the Indian physicians in Illinois. We have a membership of about 1,000+ members, we support many programs, including the one that you just attended, which is the hands-on only CPR, which is, we are very proud of Dr. Vemuri Murthy conducting that, and we are in support of that program all the time. We also have our flagship arm, which is called Charitable Foundation, and there is a free clinic that is in Chicago that has been running for 25 years. This year they celebrated 25th anniversary, and we are very, very proud of it. This is one of the free clinic in entire Chicagoland that's serving everybody, whoever walks in, no questions asked. And there are many, many physicians that are volunteering. Everything is provided free of charge. So we are very happy about that. We also celebrate once a year our annual function, which is coming up on November 9th. So everybody is welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Very, very respectful greetings to our Consul General, the Leela Ji, Dr. Murthy, our very beloved lawmaker, Bill Foster. I'm a personally very big fan of him. He attended a great Tamil event, and I think they all made a great effort to speak in Tamil. You know, that's really nice. And everybody else who's here, who make this organization stronger and stronger by the day. I'm Dr. Shobha Choklingam, cardiologist. I practice in Urbana-Champaign, but my base is here in Naperville. And I'm very, very glad and honored to be part of this event. And this couldn't be closer to my heart. One is Gandhiji, but the other one is how do we shape the future of seniors. I'm very, very glad and delighted to place before you. I took care of a 92-year-old gentleman who dances for an hour every day. He puts me to shame. I'll accept that. And he said, well, Doc, I can't seem to dance for a total hour, only 20 minutes. Can you help me? So we referred and we got a TAVR. It's a percutaneously inserted valve. And in 2 days, he went home. And he's in rehab, and he came back, and I asked him, how are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm only able to dance for 35 minutes. I'm going to get to the hour. Are you not going to stay with me? I mean, that's the kind of senior care we want. Their dreams, their efforts, and they're living a great life. So that's what, I mean, we have to be with them emotionally, mentally, physically, in all planes. And we have to be prepared. We will all be there at some time. And, that technology, it's our duty, to get that technology, keep on going. And 3D printed hearts are there. So that's the next thing. So we want to reach there. But really, everybody, I keep telling everybody, you're going to break that record for the longest living Illinois man or Illinois woman, right? So 60 is the new 40 and 80 is the new 50. So we want to keep going that way. So thank you so much for this lovely forum.
Thank you. My name is Gladys Foloronshaw in Nigeria. I'm happy to be here. I'm the president of USA Africa Chamber of Commerce, and our focus is building bridges with businesses all around the world. I'm very happy to be a member of the Multi-Ethnic Task Force, which is doing a great thing in the Chicagoland area, bringing businesses together. I'm particularly very grateful to Mama Akuma. You are a blessing. I watch you all the time. I see the way you carry yourself with grace and good composure. And all the great work you are doing in the Chicagoland area, it means so much, especially touching the lives of our seniors. Also, I look at the life of Gandhi. When you read about Gandhi, how his words touches people's lives, bringing people together, dealing with poverty, with the people that are low, and just bringing everybody together. I look at this forum, it's really needed in the world we are in, for everybody to try and work together in unity. We're a business organization with network of almost 200 to 500 members. In Chicagoland, we've created about 35 jobs for the low-income earners. I was on the board of directors of Lakeview Towers Preservation before, and also on the LIPRA, which is the Low Income Preservation Housing. Those are things that are important, and especially when you read about the life of Gandhi. I'm here to listen, learn, and to work with the great network that you are doing. Thank you so much for having me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman Bill Foster, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a scientist and a businessman. I'm, in fact, the only PhD scientist in the United States Congress. So you can either applaud or you can cry. It's my honor to represent the 11th District of Illinois in the United States House. I have in my district the cities, the second, third, and fourth largest cities in Illinois in the form of Aurora, Joliet, and Naperville. And, I was thinking about what it's going to take proper care of our elderly, and it will take, I think, three things. It will take science, it will take finance, and it will take humanity. All three will be necessary. There are tremendous breakthroughs on our way in science. Just the fundamental understanding of biology is now yielding incredible new drugs. 3D hearts are not science fiction. 3D hearts are not science fiction. It's been frustrating that there is progress under understanding Alzheimer's and potential cures for Alzheimer's. This is the greatest gift we can give to the elderly in our world. And there's farther down the line, there's incredible progress in understanding the fundamental mechanisms of aging. There are these things where there are probably not PhDs and doctors here, so I hope I say this right, but they've discovered one of the fundamental mechanisms of aging is the buildup of what are called senescent cells in your body. These are cells that are partway along the programmed death pathway, and then they stop. So they are not doing their job anymore, but they're not dead yet. And they just sit there and they excrete chemicals that cause all the nearby tissue to act old. And so these senescent cells, actually, they remind me very much of the United States Senate. So they're not dead yet, but they're not doing their job. Now there are drugs. There are drugs called senolytics that are being developed in human trials now that simply eliminate these senescent cells and in mice will add 30% to the healthy lifespan. Not just the lifespan, but the healthy lifespan. And we hope that there are comparable results in human beings. And so that will be wonderful when that sort of technology starts appearing. But it also will put more stress on the second thing that we have to provide, which is financial assistance for those who are elderly. It's often said, people are trying to make the case that, well, there just isn't enough money in our country to take care of our elderly, and that's false. The total net worth of Americans just went over $100 trillion. $100 trillion, and that's up by $50 trillion since the financial crisis. Right? That's an enormous amount of money. And the difficulty, of course, is that new money is almost entirely landing in the bank accounts of the very wealthy in our country. A small fraction of that could have homelessness. A small fraction of that could provide a decent life for those who are elderly and do not have the financial resources to provide the sort of dignity that they should. And our job in Congress is to make the argument to every member of Congress and get the legislation passed so that we make sure that our retirements are secure and dignified. So that's the second part. And the third part is just humanity. It is remarkable when you analyze how the lifespan of the elderly is affected by human contact. And just simply having someone stop and say, well, things as simple as having a pet will measurably extend the life of a human being. And so I'm hopeful that technology will help also maintaining human contact. One of the things that I know that the American community as well as the United States struggles with is the fact that young people are moving as parents. They're moving to different cities, different countries. And when that happens in the old age, there's often lonely lives. And technology can help part of that, to keep them in good communication. Anyway, I just want to thank everyone here for being on the front lines of trying to do the human part and the most important part of our duty to our elderly. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Congressman Foster, Dalela, Senators Elman and Castro, of course, Mas Santoshji, Dr. Jaffrey, who is the president of MAFS, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to give the call of action here. I would just like to digress a bit because I sit here feeling quite jealous about, the state, or rather the good fortune perhaps, of seniors in the United States as compared to back home in India. India is supposed to have the youngest population in the world. It does, but it also has an aging population. And as was mentioned by the Congressman, with the children getting better educated and moving away from home, young people are impatient. So anybody above the age of 60 or so doesn't have it so easy in India. We have a huge population that is still relatively poor, without good access to health services, forget about other services. So I sat here for the last 25 minutes feeling quite envious. I have two daughters. One of them still is with me, but I don't think she's going to remain very much longer with me, live with me. So, but I'm one of the lucky ones who's had access to education and training, etc., and enough finances to be able to look after myself. But the vast majority of seniors in India don't have even the idea that they need to invest in their elder years. We are known for being extremely good service providers. Indian nurses or doctors are famous all over the world. I think I heard that there are 100,000 Indian physicians in America, which is something we all feel very proud about. But we don't have them in India. They're here. So, in the call for action, what I'd like to say is that, of course, we must pay attention to our seniors. They're as important a part of any country's population as those who are young and still more active and perhaps more productive. But I would like to applaud Congressman for adding the human bit in the 3 points that he brought up, because without that, the other two really will not work well. And we need to pay attention to the fact that elderly people also have emotions, feelings, are extremely productive, perhaps not in the conventional way, but in many other ways, and they are the greatest teachers you can find. India has a tradition of respecting its elders, but our traditions seem to be changing, sometimes not always for the best. But the culture in India still is that we respect our elders. Unfortunately, what we used to call the joint family system, where families live together, has broken down because of many reasons. But with the advance of science and technology, even in India, people are living longer. So it is an urgent thing. We cannot any longer ignore the fact that as populations age, and science is advancing, so especially medical science, that older people need to be given reassurance that we care for them. Basically, I think that's what it is. Extension of health services, of course, that is the technical part of it. But even the health services are provided by other human beings. And what I admire most in MAFS is that human touch that they provide. That's often the most difficult to provide. Science and technology is fine, but if you don't have the human touch, I think it falls flat more often than not. I don't think a call of action should be too long. So I'd just like to thank everybody here and thank you all for giving me this opportunity to learn so much. Those of us who come from India are quite, all of us in our own way, quite determined to see how we can sort of translate what MAFS is doing in India. The administrative and government system is a democracy, yes, but the way things are done there is quite different from here. And the sheer number of people makes it mind-boggling and much more difficult. We have 1.36, I think now, billion people, of which even if you say 15% are over the age of 70, I think it's probably more. And the numbers are mind-boggling. Nonetheless, we need to make a start in India. So what I will take back with me as a call for action to India is I would request all the doctors and others in this service here to please help us set up something there, as perhaps initiate some things there as pilots, which they could later be built on. But I would also request everybody at this table to share your knowledge and your experience with countries like India, because populations are aging around the world, and this should not be restricted to one country. Knowledge is shared is the best kind of knowledge. So thank you all very much, and I think all of us should now gear up to meet the challenge of making our seniors happier and healthier.
I appreciate what you just said. Now, first of all, let us all thank our Congressman Bill Foster taking his time out of the busy schedule we have. Thank you. Now, just give us about 5 more minutes. Okay. Before he leaves, I will request our founder, executive director of MFS, Ms. Santoshi, to come and present colors of MAFS. So please, first I will request our Honorable Congressman Bill Foster to be honored.
Hello, please, Mahatma Gandhi, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Hello, please. Let's just go one more time, please.
Right. The MAFS colors to our Congressman Bill Foster. Thank you very much. Now I will request our Consul General, Honorable Sudhakarji, to come and join us over here, please. Request. Yes. Thank you very much. Now next I'll request Senator Laura Elena, please join us. Thank you. Next, I'll request Christina Castro, please join us. Thank you. Now, our today's moderator, Tiama Romeo, Executive Director for Congressman Danny Davis. Now, I request Dr. Firdaus Jaffrey to honor all this, our award, esteemed guests with our pocket watch replica. Gandhiji's pocket watch replica. Thank you. This is specially, we have ordered it directly from Rashtrapati Bhavan, India. It arrived all the way from India, from Rashtrapati Bhavan.
If it is coming from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, I need a picture.
One more thing, and then you take the picture. Now, after that, first of all, round of applause for our leader, Vijay Prabhakar. Very first time he has honored our request to present something to other people. So
Let's take a picture.
Normally he is behind the stage, you don't see him on the stage.
What is this representing?
This is something, Seva Chakra, by Gandhiji. Gandhiji himself used to use this. This is a replica of Gandhiji's charkha.
You keep on doing. Now,
thank you. Let's take one.
Yes. Please, can you come this side, sir? When you put over all this stuff over.
We have too many gifts.
Please come. Dr. Jaffrey.
He served as the one of the great experts on vigilance, anti-corruption, He was the Director General of Police for the Ministry of Home Affairs, Bureau of Police, Organization, Research and Development. He's come from Delhi all the way to us, and he's going to share his thoughts on shaping the future of the elderly today. Please welcome Mr. Parvez Hayat, and then the floor is open to all of you all to contribute to how we can shape the future of the elderly.
Thank you very much. Honorable dignitaries on the dais of the dais. It is a great honor to be present, to be among you, in this organization, MFF, which is doing a wonderful job, in shaping the future of the elderly people. I feel that the age is all mental, when I interact with the elderly people. So there is a ego, there is a child in every person, irrespective of the age. And it is all a mental state. I'm a student of psychology. So I understand that the elderly people, the different, it depends on what kind of society they come from, what kind of a culture they come from. Like when we talk about Indian culture, now in certain metros, certain places, because of the fragmentation of the family, joint family system, and also because of the such advancements of science and technology, the children are moving away from the parents, and and they're going abroad for higher education, and so definitely it is affecting the emotional, the emotional deprivation of the parents, who are aging parents particularly. At the same time, you see in India, in the world globally, people more than 60 years of age. In Japan, 21% people are living more than 21% people after 60 years. Likewise, in Indian context, there was a survey by Center for Developmental Studies located in Trivandrum, and with the ESCAPE, Social and Economic Commissions of Asia Pacific, the body of United Nations, and located in Thailand. So based on these studies, it is found that, particularly in Indian context, that like certain states in India, like Kerala and Tamil Nadu, they have the largest number of aging population. And Kerala, because of the migration of the elderly people who have been working from different parts of the world, but particularly the Middle East. At the same time, the longevity in India is the longest in Kerala. Vis-a-vis the rest of the part, like 72 years or so, but in general, the longevity in India is 68%. So the elderly people and the child, there is hardly any difference. When it is very important that we people, the parents, they are also important that it's for them to keep telling educating the children. We have invested so much time with you, in rearing you when you were a child. We used to take care of all kinds of your needs. At the same time, so what happens that parents get busy very much in the worldly affairs. So, but again in Indian context, the elderly people in rural areas, particularly the largest, 80%, 70% of them, they are widows, and the widows. And 27% are widowers. But the widows, when the husband dies, they become the head of the family. So that feeling of being the head of the family, that gives them some kind of the moral strength. So elderly people needs, like in India, there is a Ministry of Welfare and Child and Women. So what is more important that when the family, because of these children moving away and maybe the young population not looking after well to the children, so in Tamil Nadu and the Kerala states, in India, maybe I will talk more about the Indian culture. So the culture in Indian culture is that we, in all important occasion, we respect, not only respect the elderly person, we also consult them. May it be a marriage, may it be education of the child, if the child is going away. In all ceremonies and occasions, traditionally, culturally, Indian elderly are consulted, largely, So that problem is relatively less. So child home care, old age home care, and the day care are relatively less vis-a-vis the developed countries because of the old Indian tradition. We consult our elderly people, But as the age, if you talk about the age, so definitely there was a survey of this. I talked about the Center for Development Studies and Escape. It was found that the 70 plus males, elderly males, when they were asked, would you like to spend time with your son and daughters? So 70% said no, we like to spend with the daughters, because the daughters who control the kitchen, and sometimes they fight with the husband to go and look after the father. So but 60 plus the survey, the 60 plus female, they said they would like to spend time with the son. But when they were interviewed like 70 plus women, elderly women, they said they would like to spend the daughters, because the daughters emotionally, they're more emotional, they look after the parents well, vis-a-vis the boys. Like in my family, we have 6 brothers and 2 sisters. We know that as and when there was some, stumble between the mother and father, the guys look after, we used to take side of the mother, and both the sisters used to take side of the father. So it is all these studies and survey, it's very much relevant that the elderly people, what they need. But many survey also, found that the people in very elderly people like 80s and 90s, even if in the nuclear family they were happy, they were happy to live with the family, children, daughter, mother, whatever. But few of them, they did say that even if the children wanted them to stay, but they prefer to stay in the daycare, in the old age. Why? Because they will find the similar people of the same age. They would like to, have a lot of activities together and move out together and go out together. So all these studies matter, but in the end, I would like to say that it is very important that right in the beginning, the parents should guide their children. They must be reminded of the past, when they were small, how much the parents invested, when the children, just the God repeats, when the children were small, likewise the elderly people in 80s and 90s and 90 plus, they also behave like a child, When we tell them that when the children were small, how many questions they will put to their parents, and parents, if they are busy, they will reply each and every question. Likewise, the people who are elderly, say 85 plus, 90 plus, they also behave like a child. So the children must, if there is a need, they are asking any question, the children must address them. They must spend time with them. So all this counseling is very, very important to our children, so that those children, when they grow old and their parents or grandfather are going to older and older, so they will remember that. And the government here, like in the MFS, I'm finding the daycare is looking after them very well. I'm finding that in India also, where I'm living, I'm very close, I'm associated with old age home. I often go at least once in a month or so. I find that many, like my old brother who's 76-year-old, he was a banker, 78-year-old. I find that he is very happy, doing yoga together, doing walk together, and they would like to go out, on outing. Generally, what happens that if you don't stay together, so staying together in the old daycare, the way I've seen, having interacted with the elderly people here, how happy they are, they were singing, they were on karaoke, and they were dancing, and they were talking positive things. So there should be no room for them to talk anything which is negative. It is important that they should live together. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give
Former Director of General Police, Parvaz Hayat
That was a great presentation. You know, I really enjoyed the presentation, and I know my name is Tiamo Romero, so please forgive me if I mispronounce your name because I've been called Romeo. so we're all in the same boat. Of the presentation from Lalita Kamaramangalam. Because poverty, what she talks about is that poverty is a serious business. It's serious all over the world. And I can understand why she would be envious of what we have, and what we have many times we feel is not enough. So imagine not even being in the basement is what she's talking about. She's not even in the sub-basement in India. So that's something for us to really think about, particularly since she's the director of India Foundation, how we can help her help India. Our next speaker is Dr. Murthy, who is chairman and board of trustees of the Chicago Medical Society. He, depending on who you're talking to, will speak 2 minutes. Somebody else says 4 minutes. So let's make it 3 minutes.
Thank you. Actually, my presentation, which is going to be very brief, actually it's a tribute to the leadership of the Metropolitan Asian Family Services. As Mahatma Gandhi said, I got a big presentation, if you just focus your attention to that side. It's the health that is real wealth, and not pieces of gold or silver. Next. If you look at the statistics in the United States, the population age 65 and over numbered 49 million in 2016. So starting the year 2030, when all the boomers will be older than 65, older Americans will make up 21% of the population. In India, the people are living longer too. It's estimated that the population aged 60 years and above will grow from 77 million in 2001 up to 300 million by 2050. The leading cause of death, age 65. The leading cause of death, age 65 plus, irrespective of wherever you live on this planet, is heart disease, 32%. Cardiovascular disease among seniors for the 60 to 79-year-old age group between 2013 and 2016, predominantly 78 are females and about 75 are males. It's very important to focus attention, more attention to the female health problems, because the females, by and large, they are much more, I should say, patient, and also they seek the medical service a little later. Now, according to 2016 data, 64% of the cardiovascular disease deaths occur in people age 75 and older. Healthy heart is a golden reachable goal in golden years. Remember that. And I want you to understand that healthcare is changing rapidly. A proactive approach to one's health and wellness is becoming increasingly common, resulting in more focus on healthy food, exercise, and holistic health, supplementing medications and early medical interventions. Preventive healthcare is the basis of present and future global programs to enhance the quality of the lives. Translational medicine is making a big progress. Technology, such as the telehealth, surgical robots, and artificial intelligence is fundamentally changing how individuals monitor their health and receive medical care. I've been working with American Heart for the past 32 years. And American Heart has developed what is called My Life Check, Life's Simple 7. Very simple to say, sometimes difficult to implement. Get active, at least 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic exercise or 75 minutes per week of vigorous exercise. Eat better, colorful diet full of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, etc. Lose weight. Balancing healthy eating and physical activity can help you lose weight more than easily. Keep off all the bad things. Control cholesterol. Reduce the blood sugar. Manage the blood pressure. Now the American Heart Association has cut the threshold of the blood pressure, high blood pressure level, 120 over 80. Anything above that is high blood pressure. Stop smoking. And I have to, those celebrities coming from India, they are aware of this program called the National Program for Health Care of the Elderly. Under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, it's a national policy which has been adopted in the year 2007. And last but not the least, the proactive organizations exemplified by the Metropolitan Asian Family Services, they are our golden standard in any community. And I hope the local, the regional, as well as the national organizations and the governments will take their goals into the pinnacle of success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Murthy. This is the open mic time, open discussion time for this particular workshop. We have about 20 minutes to talk about some of the issues that have emerged during this hour and a half. I brought up one issue to the surface, which was the problems in India, and that's what I felt in my heart to lift up. So why don't we see other things and other issues that people would like to lift up?
I really wanted to highlight the next wave of heart disease is really India and China. We are, the US, we are blessed to be very highly preventative. Like the primary care doctors are so good, they check the cholesterols and initiate statins and everything to prevent a heart attack. Whereas India and China, it's something that's waiting to, a volcano that's waiting to erupt. So because their prosperity is very good now, so they have a few cars per family, so less of physical activity, and the diet is exceedingly rich. There's a more BMI, very high, so they don't find time to exercise. It's what problem we had 20 years ago. That's hitting India and China, the prosperity. It always is measured. Whenever you get more prosperous, that wave comes up. So we really want to focus on that. And so Dr. Mrs. Lalita Kumara Mangalam, I'm from Chennai, I better pronounce that name well, being a Shobha Chokaling of myself, right? They are very, I'm a product of Madras Medical College. So anything, for the whole global world, we want the heart to be healthy. But definitely for India and any tie-ups or anything, and Dr. Murthy has already established a huge base for sudden cardiac arrest, how to do the CPR, and it's very needed. And I think the American Heart Association started something in Hyderabad. So it would be great to have that kind of collaboration. And what you said is so right, Doctors Without Borders, medicine, we have to spread without those kind of borders. I think that will be good for the entire humanity, and that's very important. And I do want to point out one thing, the broken heart syndrome is very real. We give it a complicated heart name called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. When very common in couples, when married for 50, 60 years, one of them dies, the other one goes into a broken heart, and they come to us in full, like what is called heart attack. And when we cath them, when we do the angiogram, there are no blockages. But the heart function is less than 25%, less than 15%. And you have to support them through that, and then the heart function improves. And that's an entity called mind over body, mind over heart, very real. And so whatever we can to support the elderly in those times is very important. So it's mind over body. And women also seek heart care later than others, for themselves, not for others. So please encourage all women to be proactive. And I want to really ask for all your blessings and good wishes. My mom, who's 73 years, she's right there. She doesn't like it. I bug her to come with me to everywhere I go, and she thinks I'm a little too hyper for her. And she says, you don't know hard to tell her I have a 92-year-old patient who likes to dance for an hour. But yeah, I mean, so we have to pull them. We have to pull them for all our activities. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Keep addressing in our office the lack of affordable housing and the loneliness issue, even if there isn't a financial component. And in a dream world, my daughter, who's graduating U of I in computer science, I keep talking to her about, can't somebody create an app for people looking for shared housing? You know, there's a lot of people that fall into a position of needing to rent a room or live with somebody else, but it's really difficult to find shared housing. And if somebody just looked at it from a technology standpoint, and there were all kinds, and then we can deal with the security of it later, I'm sure, maybe even locally. I just wanted to throw that out there because I noticed how many of you were in technology.
I think there is such an app, but it's not for seniors. Yeah. And I actually used it when I went on a cruise. There was an app. So we just have to adapt it, I guess, to seniors.
To seniors,
but elderly abuse is an issue related to that. So security would be a major issue.
It would be. But I feel like we can tackle that later so many times.
That sounds like age options. Something that they can
Hi, I just wanted to say that everybody's making some very, very valid suggestions and comments. But what the Congressman just said about humanity, that is very, very important, especially when elders are lonely. You have to make them feel that they're useful and they're needed. People who retire completely, they suffer from loneliness and a lack of doing something productive. So keep them in the, even if they have to volunteer somewhere or they have to be engaged. And I think we, as humanity, have to move forward and make them feel, useful and needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Every visit we try to address that, and I think I would encourage even, like MFS also, when patients come and just ask. There are only 2 questions, PH2 questions, and there's some more elaborate design. Just asking them if they're depressed, and they'll come out of it. So that's 2 things. And also, there are a lot of agencies and some centers in Naperville area where they actually take the seniors, just even get a group together going for a movie. So being part of the community, which you guys
what we are doing.
Yeah.
Because not one, every elderly when enter our center, they are depressed.
Yes.
They don't want to talk to anybody, they don't want to eat anything, and they live like this, couple of clothes. And by and by, our staff works so beautifully. I'm so proud of my staff. They work so beautifully with them. So by and by, they start eating, start talking, making friends, and they jump and dance. You will see today. They will start doing it, and then we take them to their prayer place. Because in our South Asians, somehow the temples, mosques, churches are very, very important. So we take them, and we have many festivals, you know that. Sure. We celebrate all the festivals so that they feel they are at home and they are back home. Because they cannot secretly tie to the India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or whatever city, Nepal, Bhutan, we have Bosnia, Serbia, and Bosnia, we are serving at least 500 Bosnian people also, and they are the product of the war, so they have torn with the war. It's such a psyche, fractured psyche. So we have to work very, very seriously and very politely, tweaking the things, because they are already suffer so much in concentrated camps and stuff. So psychology treatment always has to be done with the human touch, we all say, and we are very much conscious about this.
That's very good.
Thank you very much.
I agree. I think the humanity and getting people from being isolated is so important in their health and then in their advocacy for their health care. But I wonder, in your practice and in your experience, people who are elderly are also hard of hearing, and that hearing impairment can be a source of isolation. It's very difficult when you can't hear to communicate. Yeah. So I wonder how much of a factor that is, and what you've done to overcome that.
Anybody want to take that question on? ready one person at a time. I was told to be aggressive. Okay, and BJ knows I can do that. I'm just being nice.
Well, I not necessarily speaking to that, but I know there's a couple of things that my grandfather is 86 years old, still driving. My grandmother is 76 years old. One of the things they talk about is not retiring, but refiring. Because when we begin to retire, we begin to lose our cognitive skills. And that's kind of what you're talking about. And I think also we talk about a lot of times in the public school systems or in the community about creating safe havens for our children and things of that nature. But I believe that we have to also have that same aspect of creating a safe haven for our elderly, because they begin to withdraw themselves when they, one, don't feel safe. And then two, I know Congressman Foster talked about the human part of it. Us as children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren has to still allow our elderly to have some type of independence and working with them to continue being independent, but letting them know that their skills are diminished and how we can help. We sometimes in certain communities be so apt to put them in certain type of homes or take them away from the humanity part of our community. So I think that is very important, because then their skills do diminish. So I do want to say that that's very important on how we think, how we plan, but also how we collaborate ourselves as children, grandchildren, great-children to make them still feel a part of it. So I want to share that.
Very important.
I would request to keep the mic close to your face so that the sound comes out good and loud.
I wanted to, I'm in real estate for 33 years. And recently, I had sold a house to someone 27 years ago. She's 82 now. And she insisted she does not want to rent anything. I had to show literally almost 35 properties before she bought a condominium, not to rent, to buy. And she is learning cello, she learns piano, she learns to sing, and she's learning guitar. And she insists that, Neelam, I pay myself $500 every month. She has a great income, she worked very hard on her life. And she insists I have to pay myself $500 every week to go out for movies. Whenever I want to go for a restaurant, I call a cab and I go. I love her independence. And I think Masantosh is doing a great job in putting the seniors in their driver's seat so that they can think for themselves and drive, motivate themselves, drive themselves, not exactly driving, but mentally, so that they can be independent and not dependent on others. And just on the other note, I was very fortunate to take care of my ailing mother and my father, who was a dementia patient, for 3 years. And like Dr. Shobha said, heartbroken syndrome. As soon as my mother passed away, they were married for 54 years. I lost my father within 3 years. But I was really thankful to God that I was able to take care of them at home with the help of my husband, my sister-in-laws, who live not too far. So if we can tell our kids sometimes that maybe we might need you all in future, it's nothing wrong. And there is nothing wrong for our parents, or like even us, telling our children that maybe down the road we might need you. Be there for me, if not full-time, sometime. Thank you.
Good one. Anybody else? There's someone else. Oh, good. I have to tell one after her.
Couple of things actually. What Neelamji and Shobha said, heartbroken syndrome. After my mother passed away, my father passed away within 18 months. They have been married for 51 years. So it was very sad to see both parents go within that short period, but they were well taken care of at home. even though they were living with their children, my brothers, and but they felt very lonely. So since we are talking about shaping the future of seniors, there are a couple of things we need to be mindful of. One, create purposeful activities for them so they feel they are useful and they are important. And the second thing is kindness. Be kind to them, like how we are with our children when they are infants, how we are kind to them. We need to be kind to them like that. We all are talking about humanity, and the humanity definition has completely changed in this modern world. And nobody cares. I mean, you just sit next to each other and then you are just talking on the cell phone, you're texting each other, and you don't even make eye contact. So how are you going to be humane if you don't even practice small courteous things? You can't even smile. I mean, the first humanity thing is to do, just smile when you see a person. It warms up their heart. You don't do that. And when we are talking about be humanity and all these kind of things, but we really need to create that kind of environment to be human. We are humans, but acting like robots. So we need to change that culture. When we change that way of thinking, and everything will come together. And
thank you so much. We have to keep it moving. This young man right here in the glasses and the white.
Hello.
Hello.
You know, we are all working, and after the seniors, most of the seniors are retired. I also retired, but I met many retirees. 50% of retirees are telling next day morning when they wake up, they are thinking what I will do today. They don't have any goal to do it past the time. And without sitting idle, the person will not do a good job, but he will do something very destructive job. But in this stage, I congratulate Santoshi, who is welcoming all the seniors on shaping their future. After retiring, she's making them all active, thinking. Everybody's playing, talking, traveling in tours, and they are enjoying the time, and they like to go there also. Because in the retirement, they are looking for the job, what they will do, but they are enjoying the time. Thank you very much, Santoshi, for it.
Can I get 2 comments, and then I'll continue. Just 2 comments. One, we need to be very careful about our messaging. When we say people are too old for this or too old for that, that gets into the psyche of seniors who think that they can't do anything. And we hear people talk about it all the time. It's called ageism. And actually, people that are senior have more experience and knowledge than all of us by human nature. They just do. And then the second thing, and I'll hand it to you, is I want to really thank you, Ma Santosh Kumar, for all that you do and all that you have meant to all the people here and to the seniors that you serve.
Thank you so much for doing all this. So the conversation which I'm thinking for the people who are a stakeholder of the senior services here, Diane's legend, and about Banquets, which is the Riverside, and Martha Pereira, they have not done anything. Actually, if you see the census, in 10 years, in this country, the number of seniors will be $1 billion. My question to you, to all who think, are we ready to take care of them? Are we shaping towards that? Are we creating the caregivers to take care of that number of elderly? That is the state we have right now. And technology is so high, and the education with our seniors, which we have in South Asian, may not be there. But they can utilize that with the help of some kind, like centers we have. And we have to shape towards that. We have to wake up. This is a call which we have. Now the seniors will be more and caregivers are less, so we have to prepare the caregivers right now. And the care, which the home care program which we have, is very good for the people for the low income. But we have to engage the stakeholder, the lot of people are here. they have to listen that they have to increase the limit a little bit. The people who work here do not have this kind of services. It's very pathetic. When they are left out, they are very angry, very frustrated, because the people have not worked here and they get all the benefit, but the people who work here, they are little bit making more, but not as much that they can afford the services of home care. So we have to think on these lines in shaping the future of the seniors, to improve them and to increase the base of the caregiver. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think we're now ready to adjourn and get ready for the MAF's 27th annual gala, commemorating Gandhi's 150th birth anniversary.
Hi, I'm Pradeep Kanwala. I want to Ma Santosh Kumar here, and I would like to also invite Senator Laura Elman to present the awards. President Santosh Jaffe, please. Feroz Jaffe.
I would like all my board members here, please. And Martha Pereira here, Diane Sretic, Matthew Brady, and Rohit Joshi, and Upadhyay, please come here. And Niranjan Shah, please come here. Please.
I would like to have Diana Sellers. First, I want to go with the awardees. Dr. Satish Pulpa. Can you please come over here, sir? And here we have Lalita Kumar Mangalam, please. Parvez Hire, IPS. Dr. Sadish Udappa, please come here, sir. Please receive award. Receive the stack and then award. Yes, please. Please receive that.
This is no. This is not the way we do. Please, quickly.
So,
Okay, here we go.
please.
Hello. Sir, please.
Lalita Kumar Mangalam, please.
Thank you.
Parvez Hire.
Please, you have to stay. Can you stay? Hello, can you everybody go from behind, please? Please stay. Sir, please. No, I'm just saying for picture purpose. Please. Hello. Harishi. Next.
Parvez Hire, please. No.
Calling by name.
And Dr. Vemuri Murthy.
Hello. I'm sorry. Madam. Hello, sir, please.
Dr. Vemuri Murthy. Dr. Rangareddy.
Hello, can we? Madam, please.
Dr. Rangareddy.
Next. Hello. Next.
Martino Tanka, please. So Martino Tanka, Neelam Dwivedi.
Hello, sir. Hello. Okay, next. Come on, give to them. Hello.
Going on Facebook right away, Nina. This is good.
Hello.
Chris Sutina. Sir, please. Dr. Vemuri Murthy, are you here?
Hello.
Dr. Rangareddy.
Hello. Sir.
He's not here.
Dr. Rangareddy.
Okay, next.
Okay. Diane Slesser. Christy Wezer.
Hello, ma'am.
Christy Wezer, Office of Commercial Movement.
Okay, hello. Madam, please. Next.
Christy Wezer. Christy Wezer. Dr. Miss Tracy Colagrosi. Am I saying it right? Thank you. Dr. Suresh Reddy.
Hello. Madam, please.
Dr.
Hello.
Suresh Reddy.
Hello.
Mata Pereira. Mata.
Hey, Marga. Come on. Our own Marga.
Sean Walker. Sean Walker.
Hello, Martha. Madam.
Sean Walker. Sean.
Oh my God. I'm so honored.
Shri Guru Swami. Sean Walker. Shri Guru Swami.
Hello, Sean, please. Madam. Hello, Sean. Next.
Everybody go for a picture. It's okay. They call it so Joshi. Take a picture. You can give that up later, but now you should take a picture.
Rohit Joshi.
Rohit Joshi.
Rohit Joshi.
Hello, Mr. Joshi. Mr. Joshi. Hello, madam. Next.
Amar Upadhyay.
Madam, Amar Upadhyay, please. Mr. Thank you.
Now we should go to the north of the township, but we go for
Dr. Clarence Dales.
Dr. Clarence.
Clarence Fields. All right, give it up for Clarence. All right.
Dr. Clarence. Hello, sir. Madam, please. Madam.
All right.
Okay, next.
It's okay. Now we're calling. Now she will come.
Dr. Firdaus Jafri. Rakesh Astana.
Sir, please. Yeah, for the president. Mrs. Jaffrey. Miss Jaffrey, please. Hello. Hello, madam, please. Jaffrey, please. Dr. Jaffrey. Thank you.
Principal, please listen to the principal.
Nikunj Bakshi.
Hello. Mr. Rakesh, please. Dr. Rakesh, please. Next.
Harish Kurasami.
Hello. Hello, please.
Just you stand. No. Afterwards, can you please take a
Next,
picture of
Harish Kurasami.
Yes, I don't need a picture. Come. Because
Can you please go?
oh, you after that. Yeah. After you finish your writing.
Harish Kurasami.
Clarence Bales, Dr. Sudhakar Chakra.
Sundar Venkatesan, if you are here, please.
He's the IAS officer. We should meet him though, it's so good, right? Now I just So today is our 33rd wedding anniversary.
Hello. Sri Guru Swami, please.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Hello.
Gladys Lorenzo.
Yes. All right, Gladys. You're looking so gorgeous, Gladys. Just there. Yeah.
Kirti Kumar Rauri. Kirti Kumar Rauri.
Hello. Hello,
Tina Trivedi.
Hello. No. Please. Hello.
Where Kogredi?
Hello.
So much.
Tina Trivedi.
Okay.
Gladson Gorgeous. Is he here?
Gladson G is here. That's it. All right, Gladson G.
Hello. Mr. Gladson, please look at here. Hello. Thank you.
Kishore Mehta ji.
It's a responsibility. I don't know if they have one, but I want them.
Sanjeev Singh.
Hello.
Sanjeev Singh.
Next.
Dr. Shobha Choklingam.
Because, you know, with that. Oh, you can give it to her. Give it to her. No, give it to her. Give it to her. Give it to her. All right.
Hello, doctor, please. Hello.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so
Vijayendra Kumar. Dr. Niranjan Shah. Niranjana Shah.
Hello, madam, please. Next.
Dr. Niranjana Shah.
Hello, please. Take minute. Hello. Thank you.
Johnson Shuka.
Madam. Next.
Johnson.
Hello. Next.
Johnson. Yes. Thank you.
Let's go, beta.
Yeah. One more. Even there. Yes. Thank you. Great. Thank you. I'll send it to you.
Please join us in the
hepatitis.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, the award ceremony is over, and we would request you all to join us for some